Welcome to Professor's Garage. Today, we're replacing the Serpentine belt or drive belt and tensioner on this 2010 Honda Odyssey with the J35 V6 engine. Now, there are a lot of J35 engines out there, of course, Honda Odyssey, Pilots, Ridgeline, and even some Acuras. The tensioner design may vary slightly, but the overall replacement procedure is very similar. So if you've got a J35, this guide can help you out. I will show you every step in this replacement, but I will also share with you my experiences with ports and tools. There is a lot to unpack, so let's get started. Now let's talk about ports for a second. For critical pieces like a tensioner or just a belt, I always recommend using original Honda equipment. But today I'm going to try this aftermarket tensioner. This isn't sponsored. It's just something that makes a good first impression. And I want to see how it holds up. Now to remove the belt on this engine, there are actually two locations to access the belt. Right now I'm doing it from the top, from the engine bay. But some people actually prefer doing it from the passenger side wheel well. First, we are going to remove the drive belt. But this power steering reservoir is in the way, so I'm going to remove it to give you a better view. Suck out some fluid from the reservoir. Remove the hose here and then move it aside. So I remove the entire power steering reservoir and we'll just dump the fluid out. So now to remove the drive belt, we simply need to release the tension using one of the tensioner bolts down there to release tension and then take the serpentine belt or the drive belt off. The idea is very simple, but on this Honda engine, Honda's tensioner is very tight. So you do need leverage. There isn't much room because of the AC and wiring. And so because of this, let me talk about the tools. The ratchet, the 19mm socket, low profile, but this itself doesn't give you the sufficient leverage. The leverage comes from this extension. So you fit the extension depending on the angle. And voila, you have both the flexibility, the low profile in the tight space, as well as the leverage. This will allow you to tackle any drive belt tensioner, especially on this Honda engine, because of the tight space, because of the really tight tension. Just find the angle to engage the socket. Okay, I think it's on. Once you have the socket engaged with the tensioner bolt, just push it to turn it. The belt will be loose because tension is released. You will be able to easily remove the belt. The tensioner is going in like this. So this is the top pulley, at the bottom, two pulleys. And then this is the top tension release bolt. And there's a second one here, the same size, 19mm. Use either one to release the tension. And of course, if you access it from the wheel well, I think this one is easier to get to. This one is easier to get to from the top. Before you release the tension and remove the belt, take a picture of the routing so you know how to put it on later. The PS pump pulley for the power steering, the alternator, and down there is the AC compressor. There are two pulleys on the tensioner, and this is the tensioner bolt. And then over there, the crank pulley on the harmonic balancer. Tensioner bolt, 19mm, and you can tell it's rounded. So I'm going to show you a quick technique. This is valve grinding compound. Apply this compound to my socket, inside the socket, to increase friction. Now let's put the socket on. The socket is on, and I'm going to push this tool toward the rear of the engine, toward the rear of the car. And you can see the belt is loose, and you can remove it. Okay, with this tool, it's super easy. The belt is removed. Let me show you what it looks like from the front passenger wheel well. So as you can see, it's much easier to access the bolts from the front passenger side wheel well, and this is facing the front. This is the harmonic balancer, the AC compressor, and there are two bolts. Okay, the 12 millimeter, this is 15, but the factory one is actually 17. So to remove, we loosen the 12 millimeter down here, and then you remove the 17 millimeter. So this is just much easier to access because you have fewer components in the way. Okay, and I think I need to fish that pulley. The factory for 15 years, and this is the aftermarket one. It's pretty, and the whole point of applying the compound is because this is rounded, you want to add some grip to the rounded bolt so that you can turn it to release the tension. It did. Okay, so this compound, this old trick works. No magic, it works. Factory, 1 kg, 700 grams, 714. And then the aftermarket one, let's see, 1 kg, 602 grams. So this is just a little bit, 100 grams less than the factory one, which is not bad. Yeah, the same diameter, I think, and the same pitch, roughly. Yeah, the same pitch. They are the same size. Just remember the orientation of this plate. It just curve a little bit out. It's relatively cheap, and if it can endure the test of time, it's worth it. Also, I'm going to transfer the factory 12 millimeter here because the new part doesn't come with this bolt. We're ready to install this back to the engine. Now there is just a very tiny detail from the original, this shim part of the original factory assembly. So I'm going to put it in here from the sideway. I think it's much easier to put it in. Right, so this is threaded on. This is so much easier compared to replacement from the top. Tighten the 12 millimeter bolt to 16 pound-feet of torque. Tighten the 17 millimeter or the 15 millimeter to 54 pound-feet of torque. Great! I just examined my belt and there's no crack. Everything looks good, so I'm going to put this back on. Lower the belt from above. Now on the top, I already put the belt on the power steering pump, the alternator, and then AC compressor is here, and then the crank pulley or the harmonic balancer, all good. And then let's move to the top and take a look. Under the timing cover, that's where the long bolt goes in. And then next to the AC compressor down there, that's where the 12 millimeter bolt goes in. So the PS pump, now back on top, I'm going to put on this tensioner tool. And this is a 19 millimeter. Let's give this a try. Put the belt on all the other pulleys except for the power steering pump. In fact, I'm going to engage the lower part of the power steering pulley. And then once the tension is released, I'm going to pull this belt up. So this is super tight. This is actually even tighter compared to the factory tensioner. Okay, so, but anyway, with this tool, you see I move all the way from here to here. And now I can release the tension. Double check It's on the harmonic balancer, the AC compressor, and then from AC compressor it goes around the lower tensioner pulley, and then from the lower tensioner pulley goes to the alternator, and then from the alternator goes directly to the power steering pump. From the bottom of the power steering pump it goes to the top tensioner pulley, goes around it, and goes back to the harmonic balancer. So that is the full routing. The belt is fully seated on every pulley. Because I removed the power steering reservoir, I'm going to put that back, fill it with new fluid, power steering fluid. So we're going to connect everything back. Just reconnect the return, push all the way in, secure it, and re-engage the clamps. And so hopefully you want to put the clamp back to the original position. And same thing for the feed line. This is the power steering from the reservoir back into the pump. Both are connected. Now I'm going to put some fluid in there. Compatible fluid for the power steering on Honda or Acura. Let's double check before we start the engine to test it. If the engine doesn't give us a whining sound, we are good. If it whines or makes noise, we know the tension is not right. Also, I leak power steering fluid onto the belt, so I use some soapy water and wipe it off. Okay, moment of truth. Let's start the engine. You hear the initial whining sound because in here there wasn't fluid. So initially it has to suck air before the fluid comes in. I couldn't tell the difference except for the initial startup because of the power steering pump. For now it's good. And this is the original, the factory tensioner. We'll see how dependable this aftermarket tensioner is. In the meanwhile, I'm going to keep all the tools and also the factory tensioner in the car just in case it breaks down. Until then, may the Lord bless you and give you peace. 平安。